Evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Conservation Inland Wetlands Watercourse Agency regular meeting of Tuesday, March 17th, 2026 to order. We don't have any alternates to fill, but we do have a quorum. So we'll move on to approval of minutes for February 17th. Any changes or corrections?
So I had one.
Okay, good.
So we actually spent about maybe 10-15 minutes during the talking about the transmission of the zoning commission about how to make sure that some of the messages that people have put forward about conservation were included in the response. That note is not in here. It talks about, like, if you look at the meeting, it says commission responses and it says lighting standards, tree protection, but it doesn't say anything about the making sure that the note had an application. Since we spent some time on it, I
Yeah,
felt
we
like
did.
that should be there.
We did.
Would you mind emailing me language that you want to do, and then I will include that in the.
I will take care of that.
So we'll table this should we approve it?
You can
to-
approve it, and then in the next minutes, I will explain that these were amended to include Charles's comments.
So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
With that
Second.
amendment? Okay, then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right, good. Thank you, Charles. So on to item 4, new inland wetlands application for receipt and determination, application CC number 26-02 of Simsbury, SL Simsbury LLC, applicant and owner for a wetland permit to construct 669 residential units with associated improvements that includes disturbance in the upland review area at 200 Hop Meadow Street, Hartford South, Assessor's Map F17, Block 154, Lot 009-2, Simsbury.
I just have a few very overview introductory slides of this project, if I may. So just to remember determination of significance, does the proposed activity have a potentially significant impact on the surrounding wetlands and watercourses? That's the question that we're asking here tonight for receipt. The proposed redevelopment at the approximately 125 acre parcel is for 669 units with associated parking areas, access drives, a clubhouse and swimming pool. The applicant explained there's no direct soil disturbance. The regulated activities include pavement removal, storm management features with 2 small sections of roadway included. And this work in the URA amounts to approximately 3.76 acres. This is going to be presented by the applicant, but I just want to include this because it's an important slide that shows the site plus the designated areas of disturbance in the upland review. With the application submission, they included the application form, a biological assessment report, a civil plan set, the stormwater management plan, the wetland delineation report, as well as a wetland impact report. And while there's many elements to this project, one thing that we always look for as the wetlands agency is the soil and erosion control plan. So I took that out and kind of highlighted it here. They included anti-tracking pads, inlet protections, and sediment filter fence or straw wattles. And with that, I will let the applicant begin the presentation.
Madam Chairman and members of the Commission, I'm TJ Donahue for the record, and I represent Silverman Group, SL Simsbury, who are the developers of this site. This site will complete the redevelopment of the Hartford Insurance Group site, which was on 200 acres. The initial north portion has been completed. It's fully rented out. It's very successful. And this is the site where the actual major suburban office building was, their data center was, and 2,000 parking spaces were. So it's a unique site. There's very, very little new soil that's going to be disturbed. And we have Paul Vitaliano of VHB. He's our lead designer and our lead engineer, and he's got a presentation for us tonight to go through what might be of your interest.
Great, thank you very much, Madam Chair, Commission members. Yeah, please. My name is Paul Vitaliano. I'm a civil engineer with VHP, as TJ mentioned. Been involved in this project since the beginning, going back to the design of the north. Here tonight to talk about sign to the south.
You can't click at it.
Oh, that's fine, that's fine, great. Just, I know everyone's fully aware of the site, but just to orient everybody quickly, it's 125 acres, as was mentioned, on 200 Hot Meadow Road, commonly referred to as the Hartford South. That's how you'll probably hear us mention that. What you see in front of you here is an aerial of when the building was still up. So this is in 2015. The building was demolished in 2016. To the north of us, you'll see in another area, but we'll stay here for a second, is where the northern development is. Between the two north and south developments is Minister Brook, immediately to our north. To our east, obviously, is Farmington River. To the west is Hot Meadow Street, and to the south is Kingsbridge of Simsbury, which is an office and condos to the south, and then also Talcott Acres condominiums to the south. Those are our immediate abutters there. Obviously, actually, Brittany, do you mind going to the next slide? We're just progressed here. This is just an aerial view of when the building was demolished. So you can see this is 2023. It's already started to kind of deteriorate. The parking lot's kind of already started to, unravel, and the trees are starting to kind of grow a little bit. You can see where the building was demolished and the debris was stockpiled there. We actually do have a drone flight of the entire site that I didn't think was appropriate for tonight, but if you'd like to see it at some other time, I'd be happy to show it to you. If you don't mind going to the next one. This is just a broader view that shows the relationship between the north and the south, and like I said, Minister Brook is in between the two in that treed area. And obviously there's wetlands associated with Minister Brook, so we have the upland review from Minister Brook that touches our site to the north, the upland reviews from the Farmington River and their floodplain to the east, and also wraps around a little bit to the south. You can see that group of trees kind of in that bump out in the parking lot. That's a wetland system as well. I can't point this right here. So this is a wetland system here we talk about a little bit with some vernal pools in them. Right now the parking lots and the pavement go right up to them, and I'll explain how we took a lot of care associated with that. Actually, could you skip this for 1 second? So this is the development plan. As was mentioned, it's 669 units. The larger red buildings are apartment buildings. These here. We have some duplexes and single family homes as well. So you can see we've kind of created a neighborhood in the back here. One over to this side.
Sorry about that.
Sorry. And basically maintaining the two entrance drives right now. There's where the traffic signal is here, and the right in, right out that is there. Very important to us in designing this was to try to minimize impacts as much as possible. And one way we did that is we stayed completely within the development disturbed limits that are out there today. So we have not gone beyond any of the cleared area pavement curbing that's out there now. We've been working with the DEP and as far as working with our NDDB determination, having studies here going back since last June. We've actually been studying the site for 10 years, but most recently since going back in June. And we've had two design firms out there, our firm, VHB, and another firm. We've had herpetologists out there and botanists out there, soil scientists, and other professionals. So we've studied this and worked with DEP to get it to a point that they were satisfied. So the plan has evolved over time to minimize these disturbances as much as possible. I'm sorry, Brittany, now if you could go to that previous slide. So just to kind of talk about two of the alternatives that we considered and how we evolved to this point that we felt comfortable to submit. Initially, we said, how could we avoid impacts completely? How do we just not even have an application for any disturbance? And that would be to allow the parking lots to remain. And we realized that was just not feasible. It just didn't make sense to have apartments and houses and have someone walk out and see remnants of a parking lot. That just didn't make sense. So then another alternative is where we removed all the parking lots. That's basically the crux of our disturbance. But we looked at some areas where we were basically staying within the limits of existing pavement and roadways that's out there now. That's this area that I'm highlighting here. This is that wetland system that I pointed out earlier. And in working with the DEP and working with our scientists, we decided to pull ourselves away from that completely. So the black line that you see here is a 100-foot buffer line from that wetland system. And our final proposal, we're completely out of that. So I'm sorry now, if you could go to the main plan. Yeah, this is fine too, actually. No, this is good. So so what this plan is demonstrating, there's a couple of hatchets here that you really can't see here, but the reason that these are color coded is they're just different wetland systems as we had numbered them. The chart at the bottom, when you see these up close, you'll see there's like the 6 wetlands that are identified, or 5 wetland systems. But the colors here in red underneath them are basically showing hatches of where the existing impervious areas are. So basically most of these areas like here and down here and through here already are disturbed. There's roadways through them, there's parking lots in them. The curbing goes all the way right up to the edge of the wetland. What we're doing on ours, if you don't mind going to the next slide, please. We're gonna pull that back where what you see here is obviously the same upland review systems, but we have taken our roadways and our pavement to the outer edge of them. So now we are outside of that. So when we're done, we would like to remove all the pavement, all the curbing, all the parking, and revegetate that. Have that be lawn in the back of the houses here, or buffers that we would plant through here and through the edges as well. So some things I'm going to probably reiterate throughout this process, because I do want to kind of really hammer them home because they're important to us because we work hard to achieve them, is we have 0 direct wetland impacts. So 0. And as I mentioned, we're looking to avoid new upland review area disturbances and improve water quality. Now, as I mentioned, we're completely within the limits of existing disturbance. We have no wetland impacts, and to give some quantifiable numbers to the upland review area, there's 5.3 acres of upland review on the site. So that would be the previous plan that we were looking at. It's okay if you don't have to go. And our limit is 3.7 acres of that. So there's already 1.6 acres of that we're not even extending back into that upland review. And almost all of our work in the upland review is removal of pavement and curbing that's there now. It's removal of impervious area. So there is currently 2.2 acres of impervious area within that upland review. We're removing all but about 8,000 square feet of that. So 2 acres of impervious area within this upland review is being removed. That's, I'm sure, unusual for most applications to see. I know it's unusual for me to have a project where you're coming in and instead of asking for impervious area in the upland, you're actually here saying that we're removing it. So that was very important to us. We wanted to make sure that that was clear to everybody. From a water quality standpoint, that's another area that we were able to make significant improvements on this site. There's 9 discharge locations throughout the site, existing pipes that go out into the wetlands. We're maintaining all of them, so we're connecting to them upstream so that we don't have to go into the wetlands to do any more work there. But what we're doing upstream of that and on our site is we're improving the water quality and we're reducing peak rate runoff. A part of that is because of the new regulations that the state has. So just to put that in perspective, our 2-year storm, which is obviously a more frequent type storm, we're reducing the peak rate runoff by 70%. That's a huge number. On the 100-year storm, we're reducing by 30%. As far as our water quality volume, we're infiltrating more than 50% of the water quality volume. That's because we have a series of underground detention systems, 1 above ground pond here, and all of that is meant to infiltrate that water. That's how we achieve that runoff. So we're infiltrating a lot of water, which improves the water quality and obviously reduces the peak rate runoff exiting those discharge points. So our wetland scientists couldn't be here tonight, plus we know that this wasn't meant to be a completely thorough presentation, but like I mentioned, we've had soil scientists, botanists, herpetologists, a lot of information that is in the reports that you have to review, and they'd be happy to discuss that in more detail. Like I mentioned, we've taken a lot of pride in how we've responded to the NDDB. It took about 6-8 months of studies to get them to a point where they were satisfied that us staying within these limits was able to protect anything that they thought needed to be protected. And also a lot of our studies were meant to show that habitats were not present on the site for certain botany species and also for some animals. We were able to demonstrate that. So that's a very brief and quick overview, but happy to answer any questions that we can.
So we'll be getting the full presentation at the next meeting from the soil scientists and
Yeah, I mean, this was our acceptance application. Like I said, I looked at things at a very high level overview for, I didn't want to overextend my invite here to talk too much. But yes, our other professionals will be here next time. And they could get into the details of the wetlands themselves, the functions and values of them, the animals and wildlife that we did investigate, our process with the DEP, our protective measures. All of that is included in what we submit to you. Obviously, we hope that you review that in advance, but yes, our professionals will be here to explain that.
It's a good overview.
so we're looking for this significance. And I know you've included a couple of motions. Does anyone have any?
I would like the definitions again between, we have the three motions laid out, so
Yep.
there's and I know that if we find it significant, that has implications versus non-significant with a public hearing.
Right, so finding it significant triggers that feasible and prudent alternative that is required for you to approve an application. The applicant has to show, and this is a very important part of that there are no feasible and prudent alternatives to what is being proposed. If it's significant, if it's not significant, but you would like a public hearing, it doesn't require that necessarily, so.
Okay, that's the biggest
And that's the
issue.
biggest thing, yeah. There's other smaller elements if you see in your regulations with the application that you can ask for but are not necessarily required, but it's the feasible and prudent that's really the trigger.
Brittany, do you happen to know when the Hartford was built originally?
The building?
Yeah, originally. when it was
don't
built.
think-
Early
Early
80s.
Was that, was it before the inland wetland rates?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so. We have an opportunity to
Yes.
improve.
Yes.
It was built in the early 80s and opened in 1984.
And several additions were made throughout the life of the project that did go before the commissions because we have those plans and we've looked at their water quality improvements and it came in like they'd add satellite parking lots as they expanded.
I guess my biggest question, and I know each application stands on its own, how is this different or substantially different than the application we approved for the site with regards to disturbance in the upland review area?
There has not been a previous application on this site other than the demolition
We didn't-
application.
So the zoning, it went to zoning commission
We came here
And it-
informally, sorry, Brittany.
Oh, you came in
We
here
came here
Okay.
informally in
right.
2023.
Okay.
and it was not approved, so it never got to the formal stage of
Okay.
wetlands approval.
Yeah.
Sorry for my confusion.
Sorry, Brittany. That was just an
Deja vu
informal,
going.
that was an,
Yeah.
honestly, I forgot we did that too. When I was looking through my records, we came here just informally to present it to you. That was part of our, the form-based code process was to come to this commission informally.
I knew we'd seen something on the site.
Well, even though it's the statement is that it's not impacting the wetlands. We also have the ability to look beyond the the upland review area for impacts. And
I think it boils down, at least where I'm headed right now, is it boils down to a question of whether it's significant or not. And it seems, I'll just tell you what I'm thinking, I can be talked out of this pretty easily. It seems like saying that it's a significant activity allows us to establish that there are no other alternatives for everybody in the system, which provides, a little bit more cover on the decisions if they get to that point.
I think it's a big project.
Mm-hmm.
You have to examine all the potential significant impacts. So I would agree with you. I think, a motion of significance.
I think it's definitely big and there's a lot of water management going off the property,
Mhm.
which we also have some say over, so I lean towards significant.
So I
Consensus on-
would move for that.
All right, do you wanna
So I have a
make motion?
everyone has their motions,
Yeah.
at
You
their-
wanna make the motion?
I'll
If I make a motion, I have like a quick question.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
Can we do that after or?
I would do it now.
Okay. Okay, you said you're gonna tie into the existing drain pipes or drainage system. Where do those, roughly where do they
Yeah.
go? Do they all spill into one spot or?
No, there's actually, there's 9 locations and I believe 7 or 8 pipes. I mean, just very, very crudely, there's obviously what comes out to the at the main culvert here, it's Minister Brook, there's a pipe that comes in from, grabs this, goes in the street there. There's like another pipe around here, I believe another one here, one here, one here. There's about 3 around this wetland, one here. There's one from there's an existing pond now that has one here and there's one at the street here. I might have missed one in that, but you can see it's more than just one spot.
Yeah.
So what we did is we looked at each one individually and then we looked at the sum of the whole of where they're going to. And I understand that you're leaning towards significant activity, totally understand that. But like I said, we want to point out that even if this had one building in the middle of the site, the amount of improvement we're doing in water quality and the reduction from the impervious just in the nature of the site itself, the amount of impervious that's being reduced and the amount of water we're putting back in the ground is so significant that it's really we're happy to justify that.
Sure.
It's a big win.
Are the outflows right now, are they in good shape?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. We actually did look at all of them because our intent was to keep them because we knew that going down to fix them would be really detrimental to the wetland. Just logistically getting down there would be difficult. So we went to each one of them. And there's some where some riprap maybe needs to be just kind of like put back in place kind of thing. There's some where they did a really good job when they built the Hartford. A couple of them have like concrete structures that are meant to dissipate energy. So they are in really good shape and we looked at all of them. And if there was any to improve, we're gonna come here and ask to improve them. We wanted to do that, but they were all in very good shape.
Okay, they're not overgrown,
No,
broken down.
The riprap, they were very careful with how they put the riprap. They put a lot of it. It's in the right place. You could tell it hasn't eroded or moved rocks around. It's the right size rocks. It was very well done.
Good to hear.
Any other questions before we?
Just on matter of procedure, if we decide that we're interested in a third party review, do we have to decide that?
That would be something I would decide now.
So before we make the determination of significance?
So I think we did for the previous application, we made the determination and then we did it. Then we did the determining it's a complex project and to move staff to go forward with that process.
Okay, so significance then complexity.
Significance of, yeah, but they should, in terms of timing, I mean, it's helpful to have them as soon as
So we should do that tonight, but we can
If- right.
have that discussion after we
Significance.
vote to determine significance.
Right, so you would just, yes.
Just wanted to make sure we didn't lose the ability to have that discussion.
Okay, I move that the Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Agency determines that application CC 2602 of SL Simsbury, 200 Hot Meadow Street, may have a significant impact on the wetlands and watercourses, and a public hearing should be scheduled for April 21st at the Simsbury Public Library.
Second,
All in favor?
hi,
Second, who was the second?
Joe, I
Joe.
think beat me to the punch.
Good morning.
I just
We
wanna
can flip it
reiterate
away.
that April 21st meeting date, so everyone knows. And we have the library reserved, library room.
Since I broached the
Yes, good, yeah.
I just wanted to know people's thoughts on, I mean, it is a big project. There's a lot of pieces. I found it very helpful with the McLean application.
I think we fought hard to get it.
Yeah,
It was very helpful in the last application. This is also a large application. It would be helpful to have the insights of a third party review.
I mean, just
Actually, I think it's even bigger. one of them is over 680 pages or something,
Yes.
it's like,
Yes, no,
it's
it would be helpful to have extra eyes.
Yeah, and I mean, even just managing 9 discharges, I think is a complex water management system.
Mhm. Alright,
So you would make the motion to, read the item and deem it complex and direct staff to begin the complex application process.
I'm happy to make the motion that we deem this a complex project and direct town staff to begin the process for complex application.
do we have a second?
Second.
Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, good. Alright, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Alright. For this meeting, we have no public hearing and no applications.
We have no public hearings, correct?
Okay, wetlands business, is that the same as conservation commission? Well, no, we have no inland wetland. Well, actually, I'll bring this up under with inland wetlands. The Simsbury Land Trust is doing, is working with the town DPW, Department of Public Works, to try to detour people around Town Forest Road. Town Forest goes between a large wetland complex and this time of the year in March, this time, when it's a nice warm night like it was last night when it was raining, this is a night when the amphibians wake up from their winter dormancy. Actually, a lot of the amphibians like the wood frog, the spring peeper and the tree frog have been frozen solid like little frog popsicles, at least the wood frogs have. So they thaw out and hop down to their vernal pools or their wetlands to do the breeding. And when we drive on the roads on a wet night, warm night, when it's raining, the little guys get squished. So they never make it to their breeding grounds. So the idea is to close off or detour people around Town Forest Road. And if you know of any roads near you where you see the little frogs hopping across, it's only for those wet nights, generally, moist nights also. See if you can choose a different road. But there will be signs up and volunteers up.
Question to go along with signs, just cause I know people tend to ignore signs.
Yeah,
Is there any sort of messaging that can go out, maybe at the beginning of the season, and then if we're expected to have a wet night, that is
Yeah.
prime movement time?
yeah,
I mean, I know the town has social media pages.
that's a good idea.
I just think the more
Social media.
we can get that out there, cause I mean, people don't pay attention to stop signs.
Brittany, how do we get onto the social media pages for the town? How can we,
I believe I know who does the social media page for the town,
so if when it looks like it's gonna be a wet night, encourage, I don't know how many people, there are gonna be signs with a QR code directing you to information on the big night.
Okay, so
on the
that can
signs.
be,
I
maybe we
send you-
can,
it's just Mass Audubon Big Night website page.
okay.
I think the signs are a great start.
Yeah,
I just wanna see if we can amplify that
Yeah.
message.
yeah, well, it's just in
Will
one.
the roads be blocked or just
It
signs?
won't be blocked, they're not allowed to, I mean, the town garage is stuck on that road, so we can't block it. But go between Tooten Hills and
A
Stratbrook.
lot of traffic,
What?
a lot of traffic on that
Yeah,
road.
there's a lot of.
Yeah, so,
dirt road.
I mean, it's a dirt road, but if people can, there are other ways of going around, it just means you have to put your foot down on the gas pedal a little longer to get around, but it's just on those few nights of the year when they were
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think the trouble is if they're not blocked,
well,
you've gotta have communications, cause people aren't gonna be thinking about
I
it.
know, so we'll have to do the social media, this is the first step to do this.
Yeah.
We're putting the sign saying detour if possible.
Sure, so you're gonna basically put it like right in the center, like a stop sign with a big sign on it?
Yeah, the big
Okay.
sign with
Okay.
a QR code saying big night.
I like the
Amphibian
idea of it
midnight.
being a temporary
Yes.
sign like in the
Yeah.
middle, that I wasn't clear on, cause signs that are up all the time, people just tend to ignore them.
No, this is just on those nights.
No, I
Right.
think that's actually a great idea, cause I think people
Well, and
more apt to stop and
Yeah, wonder
See
why
what it
there's
says,
a big
yeah.
sign.
Well, yeah, because especially because it's brand new. They'll
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
basically doing, there'll be a sign right in the middle of the road, so they're gonna like, what's this?
Yeah, so if we can get this going, this could be something going, going forward, because the I think it's the United States Geological Survey did a study, and I think our amphibian populations are declining by like 3.4% per year.
Scary.
It's, these guys have been around since before the dinosaurs, but not doing well with our cars. So, all right. Does anyone else have any inland wetland business? All right, Conservation Commission business. So, tonight we have application CC number 2525 of McLean Affiliates Inc., applicant and owner for a wetland permit to construct 40 new residential units at the existing McLean retirement community and associated improvements that includes a wetland crossing and disturbance in the upland review area at 75 Great Pond Road, assessors map E08, block 147, lot 001, Simsbury. So tonight we're looking at our conservation recommendations to zoning.
Right, so yes, I brought up the full report that includes
I'm gonna recuse
Oh,
myself
sorry,
from this,
yes.
as I have over the past month or so
And then you'll be back.
then I'll be back and better than ever. Thank you.
All right. So did everyone have a chance to read?
And just so you know, there are a few letters that came later. One was from, Allison Wilcox's was a couple days ago, I included that for discussion. Joe Williams, the lawyer from McLean, had a suggestion. Spoke to Dennis Quinn about the months for the no mow, to not mow the meadow. You can see that in there. And then also there was a letter from neighbors surrounding the property that's included here.
I wanna make sure that we are heeding Allison's comments. I don't know if we addressed the rodenticides, the mosquito control, and her third point that I don't wanna mispronounce and butcher those words.
So I know they had a pest management plan with their application. I don't know if these were included in that pest management plan, but it's something that we can include in these recommendations just to make sure that.
And we could incorporate the Dennis Quinn's idea of, it's always a problem of when to exactly mow these fields.
Right,
And how to mow them. I know one of the suggestions is to mow from the middle out. You go to the middle and then mow out so the animals get to go to the edges, so that you're not mowing over them. So if they could develop a management, if the experts could, but with the idea that only half the field needs to be mowed in every year,
mhm.
regardless of when they mow.
So in terms of wording, so I brought it up here so we can kind of edit as we go. He said number 7, but it's actually number 5 in the recommendations. Would you be amenable to saying something like in accordance with guidance from the on-site herpetologist?
Herpetologist, and it's a bird, if they're recommending November to March, that's fine.
Okay.
But as long as it's only half the field or a third of the field, it only has to be mowed once every 3 years.
So it would say to further mitigate environmental impacts of the cluster, it's recommended that the meadow be mown instead of spring, it would be,
Late winter?
is that
Yeah.
it was November, he said?
November to March, which can get a little tricky, but November to March.
Late fall, yeah.
But if only half of it's mowed, then at least half the insects will survive and half the seed heads will survive.
So November to March.
It's too bad that wildlife can't coordinate. This is the best. Ideal time.
To March, weather
Birds want
permitting.
one thing, insects want another, turtles another.
The only thing everyone can agree on is winter's long.
We have
I'm a little salty after this winter.
Yeah. That was his recommendation, so.
So here's how it reads now, just so. It's recommended that the meadow be mown, that the meadow be mown in winter, November to March, weather permitting, or that only one half of the meadow be mown each year, alternative halves each year, again, to preserve seed heads and hibernating insects, or as recommended by the on-site herpetologist. Is that
I think we need to say that only half of the meadow is mown.
Yeah, instead of
only-
or and.
And put it, yeah, replace or with and.
and, okay. And that only one half the meadow be mown each year, again, okay.
So question, the comment that came back actually, sort of from the, that we got on letter, you know, had sort of interesting concept behind it, which is that we're getting into a lot of details about these things, and so that maybe that these things change over time. Now, I think we've come to a good, you know, this particular reading does a good job of incorporating their concerns, but and I like the fact that we've added or is recommended by the on-site herpetologist. But if something were to come up, and I don't know how this actually plays out because this is just a recommendation of the zoning, but if something like this were ever get sort of put into an application, there should be a way to change these things based on findings 10 years from now. I don't know how we're doing that.
Or, I mean, there could be an outbreak in the meadow of something invasive that you have to mow the whole thing for.
Right.
Hypothetical.
Yeah,
Right.
well, you could say best management practices, best wildlife management practices.
Where should I put that?
Should, well,
Isn't that gonna
let's
be
see.
captured though in that last sentence? The
Well,
recommendation
I
of the
I don't know that the herpetologist is the only one who should get a say in it.
Right, no,
Yeah,
that's part of the issue.
I think it would be best management practice, wildlife management practices, following best, just say following best management, wildlife management practices.
Now I'm
Because-
gonna further bind us as
Okay.
defined by coming from the education world, best practices could mean a whole lot of
Yeah.
things.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure I have a great suggestion to fix that. I
No.
just wanna
Would it-
ask the question.
But-
Would best management practices be best deep
I like what we're
management
going for.
practices
Yeah.
or
I take out the on-site herpetologist,
Okay.
I think because there are birds, there are, you know, we don't wanna mow the field when the birds are nesting, we don't wanna mow it in the wintertime to eliminate all the seed heads and eliminate all the insects. We don't wanna mow it in the spring because of the turtles, so
Okay.
it's gotta be,
So I think the sentence actually reads better because it is more broad. I mean,
Yes.
it's instead of just a herpetologist, it's wildlife management.
And I don't think we're gonna be able to answer to who,
Yeah.
we just leave it that way, and then that, if something comes up, that becomes the debate topic.
That's fair.
the word significant. Alright, all those good words. Good, I think that's a good compromise on that one.
Do we wanna talk about incorporating Allison's,
Yeah, so I was
Yes.
thinking of incorporating that
I think they're all very valid.
after the
Yes.
invasive plant management, so it would be number 4. So maybe included in the submitted pest management and control plan. Ensure that. And then ensure the following are also incorporated. And I would just kind of cut and paste her.
what are the when she says not to be used on the property, what are anticoagulant or rodenticides?
They're the stuff that kills rodents and predators and or pets,
Oh, and
eat
then,
them and then die.
okay,
Mhm.
I get that. Mosquito control fogs and or sprays including essential oil types. Why are essential oil type bad, and what does that mean?
Sometimes the chemicals that are used on lawns are supposed to be organic, but they're still, they're still toxic. So some of them are, I don't know, fogging to kill mosquitoes is the worst way of treating mosquitoes.
When you say fogging, what does that mean?
Yeah, you spray up into the tree canopy and it's a fog and it gets everywhere.
Okay, because that's what I do with my property and the mosquitoes go away,
Yeah,
but the bees and butterflies are not affected.
maybe.
Because we've seen bees and we've seen
Yeah, but they might
butterflies
be coming in from somewhere else.
the day after we spray. And if I
Yeah.
don't do that, it's not really in the mosquitoes. If I don't do that, then I walk the dogs and they pick up 2 ticks a week. And I pick up 2 ticks a week.
Yeah, but-
And I don't wanna get Lyme disease.
No, but they're the things that are used are non-discriminatory. They do kill all of the insects.
Well, we used to have mosquito squat and that killed everything.
Yeah.
So I found a product called Wondercide that uses palm oil
Okay.
and that
Usually if
it
it kills one, it kills the others.
it is specifically advertised for keeping bees, butterflies, that sort of insect fine, but it does kill ants
Well,
and ticks.
let's put that on, let's do some research on that
Okay.
one. Yeah.
So I did a lot of research and I have a sprayer because I wanted to, again, not give myself Lyme disease too walking my
hear ya.
dogs.
I agree that, I mean, it raises a valid point. I don't know if we wanna completely bar them from using any effective mosquito and tick control, especially
The-
given the population that's gonna live there.
There
There are
are
transmittable diseases.
best management practices for mosquito control. DEP has best management practices
Okay.
and they are larvicides, not the adulticides.
So whatever we're asking them to do should be
Best
consistent with
Best
Yeah.
management
best
practices.
practices. Sure.
Yes.
Well, deep best practices.
Yeah.
Ensure the
Because
pest
I can
management control.
You can put this, just from knowing people, you can put this all you want. But some guy gets a tick, he's gonna go to Valley Home and Garden Center
Well,
and
this
buy
is,
something and spray it on his property.
but this is McLean,
Correct.
yeah. I think,
But if a homeowner picks up a tick, he's gonna go down to the hardware store and he's gonna buy something, he's gonna spray his
Yeah,
property and kill
that's-
everything in his property.
I know.
And
So-
McLean won't even, they might not even know what he's doing. I'm just saying, you know.
I hope they do, because that's all we have no control over that. And even if we put it into our recommendations, it won't stop them from doing
Mhm.
that.
Correct.
Yeah.
The homeowner.
The recommendation should be general enough that it's something that says best practices and that can change over time.
Yeah.
And but saying that this is what the goal statement is to reduce the mosquito control, make it very effective usage, as written, I appreciate the sentiment in it, just as written, it's very specific to the knowledge we have now.
Correct. And it's just not mosquitoes, it is also ticks. I'm
Yeah.
sure there are a lot of ticks over there.
Especially if there's deer.
Yeah, well, it's deer, bear, chipmunk,
Mice.
mice, any type of. Cause I did ask the mosquito guy why I have, I live in the house I grew up in and there's ticks everywhere
Yeah.
now. There wasn't 30, 40 years ago.
We didn't have the deer population. did
We had deer, but we didn't
Not as
have
many.
bear, we didn't have we have an explosion of chipmunk. He said it's the animal vectors, the
Which
ticks
gets
that
us
run-
to the rodenticide, because it's the hawks and all those creatures that keep the rodent population under control. And so
What's the third item?
Buckets are great for chipmunks.
The what?
The third item on this list?
third item on the invasive plant
lots of
management, which one?
No, the
Oh,
neonicotinoids.
next door neighbor took the bucket
Neonicotinoids
back.
are a
Yeah.
classification of insecticides that are systemic. The plants, sometimes are sold in the nurseries with the neonicotinoids, so anything that eats the leaf is going to have, is gonna be affected. And then the bird that eats the neonicotinoids, and they're extremely toxic. There's efforts to try to ban them on the state level. There are some, they were limited this year legislatively, I can't remember all the details, but they are very problematic. They're a new class of pesticides, but they're insecticides. They're very one coated grain with neonicotide is enough to kill a songbird. So they're highly problematic, and there's no need to really use them, especially in residential areas for treating lawns or ornamentals or anything really nasty. I'm not a fan, let's just put it that way.
They don't sound good.
No, they're not good, but do research on them. They're a highly problematic pesticide, insecticide.
But systemic plant.
If they get they're absorbed by the plant, so that every part of them has the neonicotinoid in it. They're a nicotine based thing. They're very disruptive to bees. Even if they don't kill the bees outright, they weaken the immune system of the bees so that they can they become excited. So like,
Okay, so all these are in here then?
yeah, they're all
Okay,
right.
okay, so we're in the top. Okay, great, thank you.
So I rewrote it to say, ensure the pest management control plan is in line with deep pest management practices. Some items to consider not using in the plan include, and then I listed them. Does that sound?
Yeah, that's
I don't think that's too binding to them if they need to do
I feel
something,
like the
but
first sentence carries the weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what
and
we're looking at.
and it gives the example, so I think that's a great,
Yeah.
that's a great way to do it.
Okay.
And then the letter from the neighbors, was there anything, I know I gave it a cursory read when I got here.
This is the discussion of the 5 units. Now, you know, we from a the meadow would be bigger if we didn't have the 5 units. The question is, can we make an argument that the you know, to zoning can they justify putting in those extra 5 units?
I'm trying to think of what, I thought we had a comment about that in here.
We do have it in this March 17th letter that we received.
No,
So-
I thought,
We did talk about it, that it's a smaller part of the, from a bird nesting point of view, it's unlikely for the, you know, bird's nest, but still good butterfly habitat. It's still got wildlife value as a meadow, especially if it's enhanced, but it's you know, it's inland wetland, we couldn't make a recommendation, but you know, it does add more roads.
so okay, so what I was looking at was under 5A.
I was trying to, you know, we were trying to address the
So the public comments raised concerns about the environmental impact versus the benefit of the 5 building cluster and its related infrastructure on the west side of the property. But those concerns are outside the purview of the wetlands agency, staff and Barton. Also questions, okay, also question size. So I think, so we actually stated all the concerns, but then these concerns were outside the
Well,
thing.
they're saying that the you know, a strong justification for the building layout is needed in this location should be provided to inland wetlands, considering the direct connection of these buildings and their stormwater to Hawkbrook. Now, we looked at it and we were confident that the water was being infiltrated and addressed. There was not gonna be a direct wetlands impact. So it's really a conservation issue. You know, is this the best use of that meadow habitat?
I think we decided on the wetlands authority issue. Conservation aspect. Debatable.
I mean, it is a reduction in the meadow. We as a conservation commission tried to mitigate those impacts. But it is something that maybe we could say it's something with the zoning should look at.
So we went through this logic
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
Which was that you know, in terms of the wetlands impact, we said, look, the distance, the standoff distance is, you know, the same, it's like four and a half times bigger than the minimum per deep. And that particular thing wasn't on the wetlands purview because there wasn't any effects there, and we went through that logic, and the effect of what's it doing relative to the meadow, et cetera, falls within within, you know, our recommendations back to zoning. We didn't have the wherewithal to do anything else.
Yeah.
And the logic of it at the time was there was, you know, it's four times the standoff distance. So what would be the minimum place? So I can understand why they are why they're concerned about it, but that was the whole point of the questioning at the very end, was to go through that. And so having said that, and I can appreciate their perspective on this, the only question in my mind is, if you go back to our note that's going to conservation, we stated that that people have questioned the outsized impact that this 5-building cluster has they have on the site. But we haven't said it any more forcefully than that. And we put in some of the things that had been mitigated by it, but we haven't stated it any more harder than that.
You could say it's mitigated to a degree, the impact of these units on the farm. To some degree. I mean, it is removing that meadow, but it is their land to develop. We've done our
So I would say that adding that language was sort of the original, mitigate to these units with the following. But I say mitigate the impact to a degree
yes,
with it would be a good change and would get us partway there.
yeah.
I would agree with that.
So however, it is noted that the applicant has mitigated to a degree the impact of these units with the following. then
And we're only talking about the conservation impact.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
As a conservation agent, we can't tell them, no, you can't develop your land.
Right.
We're trying to mitigate the impacts of that development.
It's right, and the question of, prudent alternatives, you're already at 4.5 times, the standoff distance. So. And we worked really hard on this application to try to figure out ways of improving the entire site to mitigate the loss of that area. It's only mitigating, it's not. No, and so that's why the comments go
mitigating
back to
the degree.
zoning
Yeah.
and they have to deal with it.
I did have one edit on the number 2, the tree root disturbance. In the, was it the 4th line from the end? The tree canopy edge will protect the tree's underground root systems, so we don't need to mention underground.
Versus the above ground root
Well,
systems.
there are some trees that have above ground roots.
I seem to have a lot of trees with above root
Yeah, but there are,
grounds,
but not here, I mean, the
but
mangroves and.
you care about all the root systems, whether they're above or under,
That's
so
right.
just.
That's right, we're not gonna eliminate, yeah.
My pine tree roots are all above ground.
That's right. So have we incorporated all the comments that we received?
So I did include a motion, if you're ready.
We have that in our packet.
The zoning commission.
full motion, the Conservation Commission recommends forwarding the report titled CC 2525 75 Great Pond Road AWWA CC report to the zoning commission for consideration during the upcoming zoning application for the subject parcel.
Any further discussion on this? We're all in agreement? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good. All right, that makes that, and hopefully zoning will
Is your copy? Yeah.
alright, take those into consideration. What is the status on the zoning application at this point?
It has not been submitted yet.
Alright, so we'll get there with the package.
Yes.
Good, good. Alright. So, designated agent action.
Yes, I have one
Thank
item.
you, everyone.
Thank you.
Oh, there is, before we get to that, just because it's the order of my PowerPoint, I wanted to kind of summarize a new public act that has become effective, signed by the governor in June 2025 and was effective January this year. So each wetland agency member, as if they're a member as of January 1, 2026, must complete the wetlands comprehensive training that DEEP offers by January 2027.
Oh, should Joe be back here for this?
Yes.
Oh, yes, is he here? He may have left.
Made a run.
He said he'd come back.
He saw his window.
Let me see if he's here.
and stuff.
Just so I can budget time, how long is the training?
I think there's 7 units. One of them is about forestry.
The forestry one was really bad.
It's just,
Like, is this I need to plan a day to knock it out, or is the
I can do one a weekend, not torture yourself. They're only about an hour or so each.
okay.
Yeah, the
Oh,
training,
online stuff.
it's all online.
Okay.
It's all online.
And the forestry
will-
one is really bad.
The what?
The
Forestry
forestry
one
section is really, it's
Terrible.
all about how we can log everything.
I will email out the training.
Okay,
Thank
and we,
you. As well.
and even though we've taken it, we need to retake it again.
Right, so it's, cause I also just took it
Yeah.
6 months ago maybe, and so I,
We have to do the new one.
yes, there is going to be a new one.
Oh, maybe they
Oh.
won't.
I believe, that's what I've been told.
So should we not do the one that's there yet?
I will inquire that, because I would not want you to do it
Yeah.
the old
No offense, I
one.
really don't wanna do it twice.
Yeah.
I just don't know how long deep, I know they're talking about renewing it, I don't know when that's happening.
Okay, tell us when it's,
Shouldn't that
tell us
have
when
been
it's
done
updated.
before they
Likely in
put the
December.
law?
That's what I'm thinking too.
Who is responsible for keeping track of that we have done this every 4 years?
I will.
Okay.
So once you complete it, you email it to me, and then every year a report goes to the Board of Selectmen, just saying. I'd probably list the members and say yes.
Is there like a certificate that says you've completed it that we've
There
Okay.
is, yes.
And this is an improvement, because it always was very hard. In years before, they had on-site, you had to go somewhere to do the training.
Oh, wow.
And then there was a field day, sort of a event that's maybe associated with it. And nobody seemed to know how many of these you had to go to, how frequently you had to go, if it was a one and done. But no one seemed to be keeping track of it, so it's nice that they're now doing it, that everybody has to have it. Because there's some good technical information, but also the legal information
Right.
that's really necessary. Except for the logging one, it's very worthwhile. But it'd be good for all of us to have it, and it's good that they're now requiring it for.
Yeah.
It used to just be like if the wetlands agent had it, then the rest of us could just skate by, but I'm disappointed to hear that, because I know I did it 2 or 3 years ago, and
Well, then you're, it says every 4 years.
no, but I think it's.
No, but they hit the reset button on January 1.
I believe, as I interpreted, they hit the reset button, so if you remember.
So we all have to,
We all have
regardless
to
of
do it.
when we last, so if you did it 6 months ago, you still have to read it.
What fun. All right, we can do this.
But before anyone, let me talk to Deep first to see if there's a new one.
Sure.
Cause I don't want you to
Okay.
do
Yeah.
the one on.
And do express our concern with the forestry part.
I'm sure they can't wait to hear.
It's and I'm sure
They
that
love
changed
feedback.
everything.
They love feedback from the
Yeah, sure.
Conservation Commission.
Yeah, but it's, forestry is as of right, but it gets a little beyond that
It gets BS.
in the unit, which is very odd. So thank you. Alright,
And my next item, I wanted to alert everyone of the Simsbury zoning workshop that is happening on Monday, March 30th.
Yep.
The zoning staff is working with a consultant to rewrite the entire zoning regulations. To make them more accessible, clear, to be more in line with the state statutes that have passed over the years, to make definitions more clear, just to make everything easier to read and understand.
so I understand the way that the workshop is set up, there's from from what to
So
when?
it's from, the presentation starts at 7, it's gonna go till 9, there's a presentation and then there's going to be a more interactive how did they say it, like just different tables around of different topics. 6 to 7, there's going to be an open house if you wanna come early and talk with either the consultant or planning staff about concerns.
So I heard about this at the open space meeting,
Yes.
and Tony was there. And he had said that zoning had already met with sustainability committee. But
I don't, he may have mentioned it to them like he was doing to open space, there's been, as far as I am aware, there's been no meeting.
seems that they had a meeting, but I know we had wanted to have a meeting with zoning, because there's several things that we want to discuss with zoning, especially the invasive plant issues and the native plant families.
Yep.
To get more, referrals to us, because plants are the base of the food chain and they're rather important, not just decorative. So I guess we won't be having that opportunity before.
I don't
or will
know,
we?
well, I'm not sure, I will inquire to the zoning commissioner, the chairman.
I mean, I'm not sure how much,
don't-
it's a public thing and
Oh, so this is public, so this is the public workshop. I know there's other meetings in the works. I don't know the extent of,
okay, because we would like to have, I think, a meeting.
Right, but that's much more procedural, whereas this meeting is about the rework of the regulations.
Yes, but we would like the regulations to reflect some, I mean, we did a guideline for the town for planting that really hasn't, I don't think, gotten everywhere within the town.
But that's really, so what I heard from the workshop is this was a reworking of the existing regulations to make them clearer and more concise, more understandable,
Mhm.
not the addition of more regulations that might be more about the process.
there can be, I mean, it can be that as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
I
can
know
bring
we're
it
gonna
up.
be working on a lot of specific
Mhm.
regulations and changing them.
If they are rewriting the regulations, this would be a time to discuss the invasives and I know Newtown has put into their town regs invasive and native planting regulations for new projects.
Mhm.
So we should be able to look to what they've done and see if we can't get them into our, I mean, if zoning's gonna be doing this, this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if I mean, if the goal is
Rewriting the
to
regulations.
basically install we've got the regulations for dark skies, but if we have things that we would like to see put into the regulations, I'm not sure this is the best meeting for it,
No,
but I think without a doubt that, that should happen beforehand, so they can have a talk about it at the meeting.
well, that's why I say, I mean, this one's coming up rather quickly, but I don't know that we'll be able to have a meeting we're gonna have this, April thing, if we can have a meeting beforehand, that'd be great, but
So yeah, I see this more as a kickoff meeting to learn about the timeline and what's happening. I mean, it's gonna be a
Then we can get on
multi-month
their
process.
agenda.
Yeah, it's
Alright,
gonna
that'd
be
be
a
good.
big, it's gonna be a big
That
job.
would be good.
When was the last time they were
It
written?
was a more minor rewrite, I'd say in 2005.
Okay,
But
so
it's
minor in
just,
21
yes.
years ago. So these date back to probably the 80s or
and then there's been
maybe
small amendments, throughout the years.
tweaked here and there.
Mhm.
Yes. So this will be a more comprehensive.
This is the
So we should, it'd be great for everyone to plan to go to this meeting, have discussions and then after that, we can have a joint meeting with the zoning.
And then I'll talk to George and Tony about how
Good.
this can be.
Good. And that way, because I know that's been one of the goals that we have more referrals from zoning, I mean, that they don't, I mean, it's like design review, they do go through design review, and they can take or not take their recommendations, the same thing for us, they can, but it'd be nice to have the opportunity to put in, cause sometimes we don't know all the projects they're working on. So we need, and I think that was something in the charter review that we wanted more communication between the land use boards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, thank you.
Yep, and then my last item, just a report out for a designated agent item at 6 Banks Road, an addition at 1,260 square feet, 43 feet from the soils with silt fencing proposed on the survey that was with the application. And that is it for me.
So that was a designated,
Agent approval, yep.
so it was a 1,260 addition?
Square foot addition.
Addition.
Yep.
So this is living space, this is the deck or
No, it's not, yeah, it's an addition, it's living space, yep.
It's a foundation and.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And how far from the wetlands?
43 feet.
So why did that one not come before us or?
So there's typically in residential properties, when it's not close to wetlands, a designated agent can approve those.
Usually they've been like decks and things like that.
Yeah, right. I mean, I've had additions also for it's really there's no set distance or size. It's kind of, but I've been looking at it.
I always think, I mean, not for a deck or something like that, but there's always a chance to talk to them about their lawn maintenance and their, their invasive plants and their,
Right.
what they're doing next to the wetland, if they're mowing right next to the wetland.
With my, so if
So
you
if you
want,
want-
if you want, I can speak to you about it before I decide to do a designated approval.
Okay, but or if you could speak to the applicant about
And include
those-
that information.
those sorts of things, cause
Yes.
that would,
Yeah.
that's fine too.
I mean, I think that's one of the things that we wanna work on is institutionalizing those talks so we can hand them out,
Mhm.
the pool chemical talk,
Yes.
anytime that's going on, it should be, here's the full Conservation Commission, discussion items,
Right.
read them.
Right, yes.
Read them and please do them.
And do them, otherwise there'll be a problem.
Yeah.
But so I do think that that's one of the things we wanna institutionalize and
Yeah.
get down.
Right, so maybe that's something so I do approval letters. Maybe I can have different types of those within the approval discussion of pool chemicals, things like that in it. So-
Absolutely, but I think, it's super important because on those times when Marjorie is out sick or something, that voice of what should be done on these invasives and the natives and the pool chemicals.
We're pulling lawns back from wetlands because one of the concerns is it's not just the wetland that's important, it's the upland that's important.
It's the buffer and how big the buffer should be.
Yeah.
And so we have the standard, we say it to everybody.
Yeah,
We're not
Yeah,
we're
like
not
a one-
particular, they all hear it.
yeah, like a one-page sheet with a couple, some bullet points. You don't wanna get too verbose so no one's gonna read it.
right.
But if it's like
If it's-
4 or
if
5
it's-
bullet points.
Okay.
Right.
I'll work on that and I'll bring it in.
Yeah.
Alright.
There is a bill going to the state of riparian buffers.
Yes.
It just went to public hearing. So and it looks like it's advancing.
What's the bill?
That's a good question.
They're
I was
making the
just
buffer
looking it
bigger or
up.
smaller.
Yeah, they're making the buffer bigger.
Probably not.
Yes, they're where's how do I get to my
So I know our upland review area of 100 feet is not it doesn't prohibit anything from being developed, but it's also not best management practices around the vernal pool.
Right.
So if you go to ct.gov.
100 feet is nothing around the vernal.
Let me go to the bottom, there's a place you can look for different bills. For some reason it's not popping up for me. But let me find that.
Sure.
bill number.
Okay.
It'd just be interesting to know which way they're headed.
Yeah, well, we can also.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I know Rivers Alliance used to have a riparian buffer brochure for homeowners. If we could get like packages of things that we could hand out, whether they'll, but I think it's more important not just to hand them the brochure, to have a person of authority, like Brittany, tell them, this is what we need to do.
You can tell them, here's the reference material.
Yes,
And that's about as,
and this is why,
but even if they're up listening to us,
Yes.
talk to them,
yes,
handing the material and sending
Yes.
it out afterwards,
Yes.
you might pick up another 10% of people
Absolutely.
listening.
yes,
So we should
yes,
we should just generate them.
yes, Yeah.
And then print them out as needed.
It looks like it's bill 87174.
7
Nope, HB 7174.
7174. House bill, okay.
all right, anything else anyone wants to discuss for tonight? All right, good,
Motion to adjourn.
So second,
all in favor?
I
All right, thank you everyone, and
For over 40 years, SCM has been the voice of our town.
bringing us together through local programming,
Education and live broadcasts.
SEM isn't just about television.
It's about empowering our community.
Ensuring our voices are heard during government meetings.
And celebrating milestones.
like our high school graduations.
But today, SEM faces a challenge.
Our funding structure is based on television subscriptions. And it's no secret, people have been cutting the cord.
With a shift to internet-only subscriptions,
SCM receives less revenue.
Even though all our programming is freely available online.
We need your support.
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 Your donation can make a difference.
It will ensure that SCM remains open.
Continues to educate our youth.
And keeps our community informed.
Thanks to SCM, I've been honing my creative skills, helping me work towards my college degree.
SCM is crucial for keeping our community connected.
SCM isn't just here to broadcast local events. They're actually preserving Simsbury's history.
Join us in preserving Simsbury's voice.
Simsbury's voice.
Together we can ensure that SCM continues to thrive.
For generations to come.
Visit our website
Or scan the QR code on your screen to make your donation.
Every contribution
counts.
Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community Media.
where your town
Your schools
And your government come together.